Hello, Mr. Mike, and a big congrats on your documentary, Sisters of Ukraine. It shows the strength of the human spirit and quite hopeful too. I enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right, so first things first, describe Sisters of Ukraine for our viewers in your own words.
Sure. So Sisters of Ukraine is about a convent of nuns in Western Ukraine who are helping get refugees out of Ukraine into other parts of Europe primarily. And so we traveled with this group of Spanish volunteers from Barcelona into Western Ukraine, stayed at the convent with the nuns for a few days, and then traveled by land with a group of about 30 refugees back all the way across Europe back to Barcelona. And while we were over there, these widespread missile attacks and drone attacks that Russia launches started. They basically started the first day that we were there. Now they're commonplace, but back then it was new. So we just happened to be there when that happened.
Wow. Now you have quite an eclectic background of projects, right? From the paranormal with Zach Bagans to true crime docs like the Biggie and Tupac film or Helter Skelter. And you even shown a spotlight on the desert with the Richard Neutra house. So
yes,
quite impressive. And now you went to war with Sisters
yes.
of Ukraine. So give us the genesis. What got you interested in documenting these brave nuns? Did the volunteers reach out to you or vice versa?
That is basically what happened. Yes, I was already following the war closely and was hoping to find some way to do a project on it. And I was contacted by Stephen Campos, who is a almond grower in the Central Valley of California, and he had just family connections to these volunteers in Barcelona, and they had reached out to him saying, "Hey, you're in California, you must know movie producers." He's like, "I don't know any movie producers," but he knew somebody who knew me, and that's how the connection happened. And within weeks of us deciding, let's go do this, we were on our way to Europe. It came together very quickly.
Wow. Now I can only imagine the challenges that you and your production faced in creating this documentary. Tell us some of those.
The biggest challenge, honestly, is going into a war zone. There's this logistics there. I've traveled, I've done a lot of international filming, but I've never done one in an active war zone. Going even down to production insurance. You're going in with, a couple $100,000 worth of camera equipment. Well, no insurance policy covers acts of war. So the company we rented our gear from was just like, we're taking a big chance on you because if, a missile hits our gear, we're out. Like, we're out of that gear. So there are little things like that you just don't normally have to worry about on a production. And then, of course, just the stress of, and we know the minute you cross that border into Ukraine, we're a potential target because the Russians are bombing everybody. And so, and especially being Americans, I said, no social media posts that you were over here because we were told it's added risk being Americans over there. Don't let anybody know we're here until we've left. And I didn't even tell my own parents we were going. I told them I was going to Poland. And then the minute we got back out of Ukraine into Poland, I called them immediately and said, "Okay, here's what I've really been." And
By
I'm
the
okay.
way, I love those scenes with all those kids. They're so cute, and the babies. I mean, that really, make your heart break, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Now, in creating the documentary, in the research, what did you discover that made you go,
Honestly, the most shocking thing is the scope of the refugee crisis.
Yeah.
8 million people have left Ukraine and another 8 million are displaced within Ukraine. It is by far the biggest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II. And a lot of the refugee crisis in the Mediterranean with people coming from Middle Eastern countries and Africa, that has gotten a lot of publicity, and it should. But we're talking a few 100,000 people with that. This is millions and millions of people, and I don't think people have grasped.
Yeah.
The rest of the world has grasped how massive this crisis is, and it's why we made the film, was to draw attention to this, because most of the attention gets on the fighting and the front lines, and there's massive ripple effects when a war happens through the entire population and how it affects them.
Exactly. Now, what was your main edict to make sure that the Sisters of Ukraine and the story itself are presented accurately?
Well, I shot this what we call cinema verite style, which means all live and in the moment. There's no talking head, what we call talking head interviews, like us on Zoom right now. There's no, and here's what I was thinking when this was happening. It is all in the moment as the story unfolds, because I wanted to put the audience in our shoes and let them feel like what it felt like to go on this trip. And so that is as authentic as it gets. It is all real stuff happening as we experienced it.
That's great. Now, you mentioned earlier that after 2 weeks of meeting, then you see yourself off to Europe. But how long did it take for you to finish the documentary from inception to creation?
Sure, I edited it very quickly, and I think within 4 or 5 months of us deciding we were going to do this, we had the first cut of the film done. And I do all my own editing, so I edited it myself. But I knew because it was such a timely story that I wanted to get it cut quickly and out.
The film is now finished with this festival run, right?
Yes.
Where can our viewers see the film?
So Sisters of Ukraine is everywhere now. Anywhere you can rent a movie, you can get it. So Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play, all pay-per-view for cable, and it's even on YouTube you can rent it. So it's everywhere that you could find a movie.
Perfect. So it's on digital and it's on demand at home. It's
yes.
Perfect. What do you hope for viewers to get after watching the film?
I hope that people will reach out and help. There's lots of I have acquaintances here in LA who hosted a Ukrainian family of refugees. Just they had a house with extra rooms, and they brought them over and helped them get on their feet. And they did a GoFundMe to help them get a new apartment. And there are if you are in even a small town, there was almost definitely a group there that is sending aid packages and doing other volunteer work. And just get active.
Wow. So are you still in contact with the principals of the film?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, I just talked to Mother Christiana, the head nun, this morning. We would touch base. So yes, and I'm still in touch with Eduardo from the film. So and me and Steven talk regularly. So yeah, everyone, we're all friends now. Yeah.
That is great to hear. Now, before we end, any word on your next projects? Is it going to be another war theme, paranormal, true crime?
I'm currently doing a big true crime series that comes out in October. That hasn't been announced yet, but that's my current big project. Yeah.
Perfect. I can't wait. Yeah, you're Dr. True Crime Junkie.
Yes, same. Same.
A big congrats on Sisters of Ukraine again, Mr. Mike. It's a life-affirming and hopeful documentary about the horrors of war.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck on everything, okay?
Thank you.
All right, and hope to see you in the desert, Mr. Mike.
Absolutely. I love Palm Springs.